I once believed marriage was built on trust, that love alone could protect my dignity. I was wrong. My name is Mason Hale, and this is a story of betrayal and the revenge that turned me into someone I never imagined. 5 days ago, I stood by the kitchen counter in Northbridge, my daughter Ava's iPad in hand, reading a group chat I was never meant to see. My wife Serena, her sister Tessa, and their mother Regina had named it family only. The messages stretched back months and even years, mocking me. "He's just a pushover," Serena wrote. "He will not do anything," Tessa added with a laugh emoji. "Drain his savings while you can," Regina advised. "He will never stand up for himself." They ridiculed me for turning down a promotion to spend more time with Ava. They joked about my trust, how I never questioned Serena's house renovations, which were really spa weekends, shopping sprees, or worse, affairs. But what truly stung was not the money. It was the contempt, the callousness, the quiet, insidious evil that turned every one of my sacrifices into an inside joke. Right then, it should have been enough to file for divorce, to call a lawyer and wash my hands of them. But something in me snapped. I realized I was not just going to leave. I needed to show them what it meant to shatter a man's faith and then assume he would stay tame. For as long as I could remember, I had been the nice guy, the gentle father, the trusting husband. They had never once stopped to wonder what would happen if that quiet, obliging man discovered real rage. That night, as Serena slept, I stared at the ceiling, numb from betrayal. My heart hammered, my fists clenched, my chest burned with an unfamiliar darkness. I thought about Ava, my only tether to decency, and realized that no matter what happened, I had to protect her. I had to ensure she would never be used as a pawn in Serena's schemes or Regina's manipulations. I had to make them all regret every smug, self-satisfied message in that family-only chat. 2 days later, my daughter asked, "Daddy, why does Mommy's friend come over when you are not home?" I paused, phone in hand. "What friend is that, sweetheart?" "The tall man. He has a ring just like yours and Mommy's," Ava said. "He comes when you are at work. He always brings Mom coffee and they talk in her room. Sometimes they laugh. I heard Mommy call him Nolan or something like that." Nolan. The name clicked instantly. Nolan Pike, my longtime best friend. We had grown up together. He had introduced me to Serena at a birthday barbecue for Tessa. He was always around, always laughing. I suddenly remembered the way Serena used to watch him, the subtle shift in her posture when he arrived at our gatherings. Before, I had never questioned it. But now the puzzle pieces slotted together. Serena was cheating with my best friend. The cold black tide rose in my gut. After Ava ran off to watch cartoons, I placed a small motion-activated camera in the living room, its lens hidden behind a vase. Serena, too confident in my obliviousness, never noticed. The next day at noon, my phone buzzed. While I was supposedly at work, Nolan's silver truck pulled up. He let himself in, grinning. The footage showed them kissing in the foyer, curtains wide open. He wore his wedding ring, a cruel reminder of his own marriage to Kara. For 2 hours, they stayed in my bedroom. Then he walked out, straightened his shirt, and left. I did not yell. I did not cry. I just stared at the screen, feeling something dark coil inside me. My lawyer had called it financial abuse. Now it was adultery and betrayal by my best friend. That night, I overheard Serena on the phone with Regina. "He is never going to confront me," she laughed. "We will finalize everything next week. Once we get his bonus, I will serve him the papers and take the house." "What is he going to do? Cry?" My chest tightened, but her arrogance became the match that ignited my rage. No more silence. No more compliance. I would wait, let them push further, then show them what I was capable of. My patience would be my last kindness. When I met with my lawyer, Ms. Dalton, I laid everything out. The screenshots, the camera footage, the text logs. She examined each piece, eyes growing wide. "You have a rock-solid case for divorce, potential for criminal charges," she said. "I need time to sort it all. But Mason, this is serious. They are systematically robbing you." "I do not just want them to stop," I replied. My voice sounded deeper than usual, harsher. I want them to pay. Every one of them. Miss Dalton gave me a careful look. Stay within the law, Mason. You have every right to be angry, but keep your head on straight. I left her office with the kind of calm that comes before a thunderstorm. I was not going to do anything illegal. I was going to do everything just within the boundaries. But my confrontation with Nolan would not be anything a lawyer could sanitize. I was done letting them presume my kindness equaled weakness. Regina's big family dinner loomed in Maple Ridge. Serena, Tessa, Regina, and anyone considered an extension of their clan would be there. It was their monthly ritual to gather, gossip, and keep up appearances. I decided to attend with an elaborate plan. I arranged for Ava to stay with a friend that night. I wanted her far away from what might happen. The perfect scenario presented itself when Tessa's husband, Evan, found me at the grocery store and asked if I was coming to the dinner. His tone was polite, but behind his words was an edge. I wondered how much he knew about Tessa's involvement in stealing from me. Did he know she was funneling my money into hidden accounts? Yes, I said, managing a small smile. Would not miss it. Evan studied me a moment, then offered a forced laugh. See you there, buddy. He had no idea what was coming. Neither did the rest of them. Saturday night, I arrived at Regina's sprawling house, a place that always screamed wealth but only delivered pretense. Tall hedges, pristine driveway, white columns. But behind the polished facade, rot, lies, manipulation. Tessa greeted me at the door. "Oh, Mason," she cooed, wearing a too bright smile. "I am so glad you could make it. Serena is inside helping Mom with the roast. It is going to be wonderful." I nodded, looking forward to it. Inside, Regina and Serena flitted around the kitchen. Regina had that matriarchal posture, shoulders back, chin up, as though she were a reigning queen. Serena wore a summery dress, cheeks flushed as though she had been working hard. But she had not worked an honest day in years, not since she discovered she could manipulate me for money. "Mason," Serena said in a silky tone, "sweet of you to come right after a shift. Why do you not sit in the living room? Tessa will bring you something to drink." I forced a calm smile and accepted a glass of iced tea from Tessa, ignoring the dagger-like glances she and her mother exchanged, as if orchestrating some elaborate scheme. As we gathered around the massive dining table, Regina took charge. "Let us go around and share some highlights of our week," she said. "Serena, darling, why do you not start?" Serena tossed her hair. "I have been prepping the final details of my business venture. I was going to keep it under wraps, but I cannot resist sharing. It is going to bring in substantial revenue. I am counting on my wonderful husband to support me." Arrogance laced every syllable. They thought they had me cornered, a docile spouse, a pliable wallet. They did not know I had cameras, bank statements, and piles of evidence stacked neatly in Ms. Dalton's office, ready to detonate in divorce court. But the dinner was not just about exposing them. I wanted something else, too. The raw confrontation. The chance for them to see me. To realize their illusions about me were done. A doorbell interrupted the conversation. Before Tessa could rise, I calmly stood. I will get it. Opening the door, I found a courier I had hired, holding manila envelopes. I gave him a polite nod, and he vanished. The family stared, perplexed as I entered with those envelopes, each labeled with someone's name. My heart hammered. I could feel the blood roaring in my ears. But outwardly, I was serene. "Before dessert, I would like to share something with everyone," I said, placing the envelopes by each plate. "What is this about?" Regina demanded, eyes narrowing. "Go ahead," I said. "Open them!" They did. One by one, gasps, curses, wide-eyed horror spread around the table. Serena's face turned white. Tessa's mouth fell open. Regina's lips thinned into a taut, bloodless line. Even Evan looked shaken, flipping through page after page of logs, statements, screenshots, and photos. It was all there. Bank statements showing tens of thousands siphoned from my personal accounts, allegedly for home renovations. Screen captures from the family only chat mocking me, strategizing how to bleed me dry. Images of Nolan arriving at my home on days I was out working, time-stamped and dated. Correspondences between Tessa and Serena about the divorce plan once they secured my annual bonus. Regina's emails orchestrating the manipulations for maximum gain. "What is this?" Tessa hissed, her voice trembling. Serena's eyes brimmed with panic. "Mason, why would you do this? This is private." "Stealing from me was also private," I said, voice resonating in the hush. "Cheating with my best friend was, I suppose, your business too. But you made it mine when you made a fool out of me." Regina thumped the table. "You had no right." "I had every right," I countered, leaning forward, glaring at the woman who taught my wife how to con me. "You think you can rob me blind and degrade me behind my back. I do have a right to gather evidence, Regina." And I did. Thoroughly. Across the table, Evan looked like someone had punched him in the stomach. "Tessa, is this our account?" He held up a page. "You are funneling his money." "My money. You took out a second mortgage on our home." Tessa shrank back, stammering that it was not what it looked like, then stared at me with a twisted face. "You bastard," she whispered. "You ruined everything." "No," I said quietly. "You ruined everything. I just made sure you would not get away with it." The doorbell rang again. My blood turned to ice. I had half expected him to show, though I had not invited him. Serena jumped to her feet, smoothing her dress. "I will get it," she stammered. I followed her, the entire family trailing behind. When Serena flung open the door, there stood Nolan Pike, looking uncertain but determined. He wore a black leather jacket, hair disheveled, and on his face was an expression that wavered between guilt and defiance. "Serena," he said softly. I wanted to talk. He caught sight of me over her shoulder, eyes widening. "Mason, look, I know how this looks." I felt an electric jolt of fury. That was my best friend. His voice was so familiar, loaded with memories. Camping trips, high school pranks, best man speeches, all turned toxic. My jaw clenched so hard, I thought my teeth might crack. "Why are you here, Nolan?" I asked, my tone deceptively calm. He glanced at Serena. "I came to manipulate me further, to waltz into my home again while I am away." A flicker of panic crossed his face. "Serena said you two were basically separated." "Do not lie," I snarled. "I have footage of you in my bedroom while I was at work. My daughter asked me why Mommy's friend keeps visiting." He turned pale. "Mason, please, you have to understand." "Stop!" I barked, stepping forward, ignoring Serena's frantic shrieks. "There is nothing to understand but your betrayal." The old me would have tried to reason or walk away. That quiet, compliant man snapped the moment I saw my so-called best friend with his hands around my wife in my home. My fists tightened. Nolan realized too late what was about to happen. He raised his hands as if to placate me, but I lunged, drove my shoulder into his gut, and slammed him backward into the doorframe. The crack of wood echoed through the house. Tessa screamed. Regina yelled to stop. I was not listening. I grabbed a handful of Nolan's jacket and swung a punch that connected with his jaw. Pain flared in my knuckles, and it felt good. Too good. Nolan stumbled, and I advanced, hooking a second blow across his face. He tried to regain balance, stepping sideways off the threshold and onto the porch. "Mason, this is insane." "It is justice," I hissed, heart pounding. "All those times you shook my hand, smiling while you went behind my back. Did you think I would just lie down and take it forever?" He attempted to grab my arm, but I twisted away and kicked the back of his knee. He collapsed, cursing. I stood over him, chest heaving. Serena shrieked that I would kill him. "Funny," I growled, glaring at her. "You never worried about me. Only him." My whole body shook with adrenaline. Nolan coughed, spitting blood onto the porch. It was not enough to quell my wrath. Images of him smiling at barbecues and making jokes at my expense while sleeping with my wife flooded my mind. I bent down, grabbing a fistful of his hair. "You are done," I whispered, voice trembling with fury. "You hear me? Done." Before I could land another blow, strong arms clamped around my chest. Evan and someone else pulled me off. "Mason, that is enough," Evan panted. "He is not worth it." Nolan struggled to stand, leaning against the porch rail, blood trickling from his mouth. His eyes shone with terror. He had never seen me like this. None of them had. They dragged me back inside, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Serena rushed to Nolan's side. Regina was shouting about calling the police. "Call them," I spat. "We will see how they like the evidence I collected on your entire family. Go ahead, Regina." She froze, phone half raised. "You are threatening us. Threatening." I let out a bitter laugh. "No, I am stating a fact. If you call, you will all face a tsunami of charges for fraud, theft, conspiracy, maybe more. I will be arrested for assault, sure. But every dirty secret of yours will be on the record, and I promise I will walk out far quicker than you will wiggle out of your charges." No one moved. Tessa collapsed onto a chair, face in her hands. Regina glared but said nothing, phone dropping to her side. The only sound was Serena sobbing by Nolan's side as he wiped blood from his split lip. Evan rubbed his face, exasperated. "This is insane." "Tessa, did you really conspire with them to steal money from Mason?" She nodded tearfully, then spat at me in sudden rage that I did not have to do it publicly. Why not leave quietly? "Why should I?" I shot back, gesturing. "Why should I go quietly after what you did? It was never enough to cheat me out of money. You had to degrade me, laugh at me, call me a pushover in your private chat. Did you ever consider what happens when a so-called pushover pushes back?" Silence fell. Even Regina, normally brimming with snide remarks, said nothing. The air crackled as the foundation of their manipulative world caved in. Serena helped Nolan wobble inside and sank him onto the sofa. He avoided my gaze, gingerly feeling his swollen cheek. She turned toward me, tears streaking her face. "Mason, I am sorry," she whispered. "It just happened. Nolan was there and you." She swallowed hard. "You have always been distant. I felt alone in the marriage. Do not blame this on me," I hissed. "When you needed money, I gave it. When you needed time, I gave that too. I gave you everything, Serena, and you all mocked me for it. You planned this." A flash of anger lit her eyes. "Fine. Yes, we mocked you. You were too stupid to see it, but you were not supposed to become this monster." "Monster!" I barked a hollow laugh. "You forged that monster. You think I wanted any of this. I had no choice. You threw me to the wolves, so I became one." Her body shook with rage and despair. "You will never win custody of Ava," she spat. "A violent father, hitting people. No judge would trust you." I let that sit, then calmly pulled out my phone. On the screen were texts she and Regina exchanged about setting me up for a violent outburst so they could claim abuse in divorce court. I had timestamps for that, plus a dozen recordings of her financial misdeeds, plus footage of her with Nolan. "You are going to lose everything," I said. "And if you try using Ava as a bargaining chip, I will bury you in legal actions." My voice dropped to a trembling murmur. "Do not. You dare." Serena's face fell, and for the first time, I saw fear that ran deeper than the immediate confrontation. She realized the protective father was about to become her worst nightmare in a custody battle. No one touched the roast Regina had prepared. Instead, we stood or sat in that cavernous living room, while accusations and grief swirled. Nolan stared at the floor, occasionally wincing. Tessa kept sobbing. Regina's face was grim, her careful facade ruined. Finally, Regina cleared her throat, voice trembling with forced composure. "Let us calm down. Mason, perhaps we can discuss terms. We are all family after all." "Not anymore," I said, unwavering. "I will not settle this privately. You left me no choice." Evan stared at Tessa. "I cannot believe you did this. Our finances, our life, for the scam." Tessa looked helpless. "Mom said it was guaranteed. Serena said you would never even know." She broke down, but I felt no pity. Her tears were for being caught, not for the harm inflicted. Regina rubbed her temples, eyes flitting to me. "There must be a way out. We can repay you, apologize." "Repay me with what?" I demanded. "The money is gone. I see no apology coming that is not laced with more lies." Her lips pressed tight. "We just need to think carefully." I cut her off. "Here is what will happen. I have already filed for divorce. The court documents are done. You will be served soon. All I need now is to ensure Ava's best interests. As for the fraud, that is separate. My attorney is preparing to file criminal charges. Your family-only group chat will be a highlight for the prosecution, especially the parts about forging my signature and stealing my funds." Regina's cheeks flushed. "You would send the mother of your child to prison. You are a monster." "She dragged herself there," I said coolly. "Maybe a plea bargain is possible. You will have to talk to your lawyers." Tessa clutched her stomach, looking ill. "What about me?" I glanced at her. "Evan, if you want, come with me to meet my lawyer. You can see the evidence yourself." He nodded mutely, devastated. Tessa seemed to shrink into the armchair. I almost felt sorry for him. He had married into a den of vipers just like I had. Nolan managed to stand, leaning on Serena. He tried to meet my eyes. "Mason, He had nothing left to say, nothing that could fix it. I turned my back on him. The assault, the adrenaline still pumping, had given me a grim satisfaction. I had become something I never thought I could be. Someone who sees betrayal and answers with brutality. I pointed at Regina. "Do not call me. Do not attempt to manipulate Ava behind my back. Use her name as leverage, and I will have the police at your doorstep." "Understood." She swallowed, fear flickering. "Yes." I turned to Serena. Her tears had stopped, replaced by a hollow stare. "Pack your things from my house," I said quietly. "Stay with your mother, or stay with him. But you do not set foot in that house unless it is scheduled visitation, or you come with an officer to retrieve your belongings. Consider your comfortable life done." Serena opened her mouth, then shut it. She was beaten, and she knew it. Within days, Ms. Dalton filed a flood of paperwork. Restraining orders, custody motions, lawsuits for fraud and theft. Evan worked with us, unveiling more hidden funds and more creative ways Regina and Serena had stolen. The net closed rapidly. Nolan tried calling me. I did not answer. He left a voicemail saying he knew he had messed up, but could not let our friendship end like this. I deleted it. Some betrayals cannot be forgiven. News spread fast. Regina ended up under investigation for orchestrating multiple financial schemes over the years, including forging other family members' signatures for lines of credit. Tessa's meltdown intensified when Evan froze their accounts and launched his own suits. Their lavish lifestyle collapsed. As for Nolan, his wife Kara found out. She had suspected something, but never guessed I would be the one to uncover it. She filed for divorce and took their 2 kids. She took a scorched earth approach, calling every mutual acquaintance and telling them what Nolan had done. In a month, my quiet life in Northbridge exploded into legal depositions, property transfers, and hush money. Serena, Tessa, and Regina tried to offer me settlement deals. Ms. Dalton refused them all, pressing for maximum damages. She told me I would end up with more than I had imagined. But money was not my primary concern. Ava was. I insisted on primary custody, citing Serena's record of manipulation and fraud. The family court judge, upon seeing the evidence, granted me sole custody pending review. Serena got supervised visitation because the court believed she might emotionally manipulate Ava, or even abduct her. It was an extreme measure, but her betrayal went beyond finances. She had plotted to use Ava as leverage in the divorce. That was enough to turn the tide in my favor. Weeks turned into months. I found a new house in a decent neighborhood in Brookfield. Less fancy, more honest. I did Ava's room in the color of her choice and signed her up for after-school art programs. I tried to give her as normal a life as possible. Serena tried to rebrand herself as a victim in front of the judge, claiming my outburst at Regina's house proved I was an unfit father. But Ms. Dalton dismantled that argument with the evidence of Serena's affair and months of texts in which Serena joked about intentionally provoking me to use it against me later. The court had little sympathy for Serena or her mother. Charges for theft and fraud were pending, and I was prepared to testify if it came to it. One night after a custody hearing, Serena confronted me in the courthouse hallway. Her mascara had run, her hair was unkempt, and she looked like she had not slept in days. "Mason," she said softly, "I am sorry for everything. I know it might be too late, but I do not want to lose Ava. You have to understand I never meant." "Stop," I said, my voice cutting. "I am not that gullible man anymore." She started crying. The old me would have consoled her. I just stared, thinking of how she had forced Ava to lie about me, how she planned to bleed our accounts, how she mocked me. "You set this in motion," I said coldly. "Deal with it." Then I walked away. Nolan cornered me outside a diner a week later, his face still bearing a faint scar where I struck him. He looked thinner, cheeks hollow. "Mason," he said, voice quavering, "I want to say I am sorry. I lost everything. Kara, my kids, my job. I messed up. I was drunk or stupid or both. Serena needed someone, and I was." I slammed the car door and stepped closer until we were face to face. He flinched. "You took advantage," I hissed. "And you did it for months, not one drunken night." He swallowed, shame rolling off him. "I cannot take it back," he whispered. "But we were friends for so long. If you can find it in your heart to, forgive you." I let out a harsh laugh. "I gave you my trust, Nolan. You spat on it. You want my pity now that you lost your family. I have none left to give." He nodded, eyes bright. "Fair enough. I will not bother you again." In a last desperate moment, he touched my arm. I almost hit him again. "Please," he said. "If you see Kara, tell her I am sorry." I shrugged him off. "That is your business. You want redemption. Earn it. But you will not get it from me." He left, shoulders hunched, a broken shell of the arrogant friend I once knew. Maybe beneath the hatred, I felt a flicker of sadness for what we had been. Childhood buddies. He crushed that bond, so I let him vanish without another word. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. I was awarded the majority of our marital assets, including a lump sum from the sale of our old house, some of which had to be forcibly reclaimed through legal means. Serena faced criminal charges, along with Tessa and Regina. Plea bargains were in the works. Ava was thriving. New school, new activities.